Lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America, reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Leading-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today we're here with Guzel Lumpkin with EVLUV. How are you today?
Really good, Rebecca. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I'm excited to hear all about your company. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
So I am a founder and CEO of EVLUV. And the best way to describe what EVLUV is, it's open table for EV chargers. We make easy for EV drivers to reserve their charging station in advance and provide them predictable and reliable experience. And at the same time, for the businesses that want to host EV chargers and provide EV charging to their tenants and guests, it's an opportunity to run a profitable asset.
So when you're traveling or you're going to lunch or something like that, having a defined time that you could show up and you know for a fact you're not going to be waiting in line and you can actually do all the things that you want to do, that's very convenient.
Yes, and I think to me, it's like we kind of wanting to make sure that EV charging does not become another chore during the day where you have to go somewhere on the side of the road, sit in the car, twiddling your thumbs, kind of charging. Well, charging needs to happen where people live, work, and play. Mm-hmm. That's the idea. And so if you live in an apartment building and if you don't have a dedicated charging station, then you're probably not buying an EV today.
Right.
Because let's face it, the charge anxiety is real. And so
I call it range anxiety. When
right.
I start getting low, I start getting panicky.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I have a charger in my garage. I come home, I forget to charge it. The next morning I'll wake up and I go, oh gosh, I didn't plug in last night. And then it's this whole thing of, oh geez, I'm gonna have to go to the charger. I'm gonna figure out how to get there. It is very stressful.
It is really stressful, yeah. And I think right now, like those of us that love, drive EVs, love our EVs, right? But for the general population to adopt electric vehicles, it has to be super smooth. It has to be super easy.
Right.
Effortless is what I call it, right? Mm-hmm. And so my vision is to build a solution that makes EV ownership better than even a gas car ownership, because for the gas car you still have to go to a gas station, make a detour, touch something that's stinky and all of that, right? Where with EVs, if your car can charge while you're doing something else, it should take less than 30 seconds to charge your car, meaning plug and go.
It's a concierge service.
Yeah.
So you have an electric car, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So you just thought about it one day, you went, oh, wouldn't it be nice to just have chargers everywhere? And, so I actually, my day job, I am on a regional transportation board. And we talk a lot about people using electrical cars, and how do you make it so easy for them? Because that's really part of the problem. They'll never switch over to the technology if you don't have the electrified chargers here, there, everywhere, convenient. So how are you going out? Because I know a lot of the land use now is that you actually have to contain chargers, or at least pre-plumbing, wiring for that. How are you going and identifying those spots and getting in there? How does that work?
It's a great question. So I think one of the earlier questions I've heard there is, why did you start this? Like, hey, did you just come up with one idea? And so to me, a story about it is I bought my first electric vehicle about 7 years ago, almost 8. And at that time, I was driving to work 30 miles each way. And I didn't have a charger at home. And so it was like one of those 110 plug outlets it's like a drip drop, right? And so maybe overnight you will get, I don't know, 30 miles, but definitely not getting enough to go there and back. And the reason I bought my first electric vehicle was because our company had charging stations installed. And funny enough, finding parking spot at the charger was easier than finding a parking spot at the whole campus, because we were at Carpinteria and the Bluffs, beautiful campus and everything. So, but within first, I think 6-8 months, it was wonderful. And then all of a sudden, other employees of Procore started seeing all this EVs rolling up into the parking spot, and all of a sudden we have 10, 20, 30, 40 EVs, and the same for charging stations. Ooh. And getting access to the charging became completely unpredictable. And so all of a sudden I would find myself at 6 p.m. having not been able to get access to the charger all day.
And range anxiety.
Yes. And now I'm like, no, now I have to go pick up my kids. And I don't have any battery in my car. And so now I have to sit and do slow charge, just enough charge to get to even to supercharger or something like that, right? Yeah. And so, and I would wonder, I'm like, why nobody would solve this problem? Like, this problem has been solved before, like being able to utilize the asset efficiently to smooth out peaks and valleys of the demand. And that's how the idea of open table for EV chargers came about, because that's what open table solved for restaurants, right? Like, hey, you usually have that peak during lunchtime, dinner time, and that's when the wait times and lines kind of peak out. But you have to keep staff and keep the kitchen going, right, all the rest of the time, and pay rent for the for restaurant, etc. And so I'm like, kind of similar concept. You invested in an asset, right, hoping that it will provide a lot of benefit for your population, whether it's employees, guests, tenants, etc. And all of a sudden, it's only being utilized 7% of the time. By the way, that's an official stat that the chargers out there, especially level 2 chargers, only being utilized 7% of the time. And that means the money that was invested into installing those chargers, payback period could be 5-6 years.
Right. So I have a question. Does it charge you when you are sitting there and you're done charging, or what happens? Because I think that's a really important part of it, that if you leave your car there too long, you have to move it because someone else is coming. So it seems to me it probably would have to charge you.
You have to. I mean, I talk about it as carrot and stick approach, right? You can definitely incentivize people to do the right thing, right? Hey, move your car when you're done charging, right? And Tesla sold for it, like by, and some other networks as well, like by charging you idle fees, what they call it, right? And so that's definitely one of the ways to solve the problem. But there's also a way to solve the problem. Hey, more of a carrot approach. When you're a good citizen, you plug on time, you unplug on time, you can earn rewards, you can earn discounts, whether it's charging station or the business that you're coming into.
Oh, nice.
And so, and that's what we really focused on. We want to bring charging not to necessarily side of the road, but to businesses like hotels. Wouldn't it be nice if you went to a hotel and you didn't have to worry about how do I find a charger nearby before I go to bed to plug my car? But, oh, I'm going to this hotel and I know they have a charger and I can reserve my time. So I know when I wake up in the morning, it will be charged. Same way with like golf courses, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, how long does it take to play a 9-course, 18-hole, game? And that's the perfect time for your guests to charge their car, right? And not to have to worry about, okay, I'll have to go find the charger on the way home or on the way to my meeting or on the way to work, etc. And so
grocery store, yoga studio. I mean, it really is endless.
It's endless. And apartment buildings where folks don't have a dedicated garage, right? Like if you're living in an apartment building, and we have a lot of those in our communities, if you're living in an apartment building and you don't have a dedicated garage where you can install charging station on your own, which you usually don't, you're not buying an EV, period, because you're not relying on the side of the road charging. That's just too stressful. And so for us, in order to, bring electric vehicles to our communities and help make it greener, more efficient, etc., we have to address that market as well.
And at the end of the day, an electrical vehicle is so much easier because you don't have to go out and get the oil changed. And really, it's making sure that it's charged and making sure that you are getting tires for it. Those are
100%.
Those are the main things, yeah. And a lot of people don't even know that. I mean, you don't put any fluid except for windshield wiper fluid in it. That's it. It's pretty cool. You don't have to worry about it leaking anywhere. You don't have to worry about all those things. Checking all the fluids.
None of it.
It's just, it's really easy. So I just want to kind of go back and talk a little bit about how you had mentioned a little bit earlier when we were talking offline what brought you to the United States. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history and how you got here and what led you to come to this beautiful country?
Yes, thank you. So born and raised in Russia during Soviet Union, and now obviously listen to your podcast a lot, and you always ask about funny stories from childhood.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it, and I realized that I don't have that many funny stories from childhood, and I'll tell you why. It's like Soviet Union growing up, everything was kind of so serious. And I was showing some of my kid pictures to my husband and my kids a while back, and they're like, "Mom, you never smiled." Nobody smiles in the kids' pictures. And they're like, "What's wrong with y'all?"
Which, by the way, for our listeners, you smile all the time. So I find that interesting.
Oh, I definitely adapted to American culture for sure. And I've kind of Americanized, I guess I call it. But in Russia, I think there is even like fairy tales that we grew up into, that smiling is without a reason is a show of stupidity. Like there's literally things like that were ingrained in us growing up. Like when you take a passport picture, a school picture, nobody said cheese, nobody said smile, right? And so everything was kind of serious. And I don't know if it was just the difficulties of life and everything else that we grew up with. But anyway, grew up in a tiny village, and I remember, we had to grow our own food. So like we had every type of animal in our backyard that, my mom taught me how to milk a cow, and then I guess made me to milk a cow since I was like, 7 years old. So you had to be a very productive member of the family and contribute to just make things work. Like we grew everything we ate. And the life of American dream, I guess, only been seen in the movies. So I'm always been a dreamer. And so
Nice.
I would watch those movies, and like one day I will be somewhere out there. And I even have like this interview that I've spoken about quite a bit about, like, hey, I had a dream of wearing a business suit and working in tall buildings. and which I've my job, my like true professional job in the US here. First one was like working for Deloitte in downtown office. And so I remember taking a picture my first day at Deloitte, next to a skyscraper. It's like, yes, I made it, I'm wearing a business suit next to a tall building. And so I think what brought me here is that American dream, right? Like wanting to have a life and that where you had the power to change your trajectory, I guess. What I've seen growing up a lot in Soviet Union is that you kind of, if you're born to a family that's been limited in resources and it was not in position of power or whatnot, then you kind of were stuck in that place, right? Where I think life in US always seemed to me that it's a place where it's all in your hands. Like you can build your own dream. You can work hard and make something out of yourself. And kind of what I came here for.
Okay, let's pick back up on that in just a minute. We're going to take a smart stop and hear a little bit about our wonderful sponsor.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives focused on education, health, and social welfare, we all elevate together. Through financial and strategic partnerships with nonprofits and prestigious organizations such as Cloudcast Media, Arrow McLaren IndyCar, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project, USC Athletics, the Brampton Steelheads, MMA fighters and boxers, and other unique athletes, we aim to foster a sense of unity and pride within the communities we serve, creating a shared identity and generating a positive atmosphere. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com. SmartStop, elevating success together.
So the American dream, was that corporate America for you, or was it the house, the family, the dog, all of that? Which part of that was actually more of the American dream for you?
I think to me, American dream was definitely having stability, right? Stability and like growing up, my parents would not get paid for 6 months at a time.
Wow.
And that was really hard to watch as a child, where they had to make a decision. Do I buy something to put food on the table, or do I buy you a new pair of shoes? you know, kind of thing. Right? That was hard, right? And then also traveling was a big thing. It's like, Soviet Union was pretty closed. Like the borders were closed, information was closed. Like there's not a lot of flow of information, flow of goods or anything like that. And so I think to me, American dream was, hey, I can achieve something on my own merits. It's not my dad who's going to open the doors for me. It's not my rich uncle who's going to open the doors for me if you had one. It's not, you know, it's I'm going to achieve things on my own merits because of my smarts, because of my skills, because I can.
Because you had opportunity and you would be able to work for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how long have you been in this career, and what did you worked at Deloitte, you mentioned. And what did you do there?
So, okay, starting a company is definitely a new thing, right? I don't think it's something you go to school for almost, right? Like, but when I first moved to the US, I realized that I wanted to be in finance and accounting. One, it felt like that's a steady income provider, right? And I moved by myself when I was 19. Like,
Okay.
I knew nobody, knew nothing. I barely spoke English. And I wanted to have that steady opportunity for a career that also kind of matched my passion. I was always good with numbers, and that felt like the right place to be. And so I put myself through college while working full time, and got recruited by Deloitte for their accounting and audit practice in Los Angeles. And that was really the start of my career. I would say springboard, because I felt like I learned so much there, and it had such a big impact on my career in general because of all the mentors that were surrounding me there and all the opportunities that were afforded to me there.
So mentors, let's talk about that for a minute. Men, women, do you have any that you'd like to share some stories about?
Yeah, absolutely. Men. Interestingly enough, I think most of my mentors up until probably like 5 years ago were men. And so I'm very grateful for people that I've met along my career that believed in me, right, and provided me the opportunities and supported me and were my champions. I remember one of the now partners at Deloitte who recruited me at Cal State Northridge, and he kind of took me under his wing, and every time he would present me a challenge, I would rise to the challenge, and then he would give me a new challenge. And so I'd get early promoted every year at Deloitte.
So he was pushing you.
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking a little bit about this offline, why we think women don't honestly try. So why don't you talk a little bit so our listeners know what we were talking about. Talk a little bit about that and why we think that actually is.
So yeah, I think you and I were talking about like why we don't have enough women in certain positions, right? Whether it's at C-suite, executive, as entrepreneurs, or as, position of power in the office. And the observation that I have is that oftentimes it's us as women not putting ourselves out there and not taking the risk and not applying for certain positions, right? Like, and I mentor a lot of young women, and I say this all the time to them. It's like, hey, what is your ideal role? Where would you want to be? It's like, oh, I want to be there, but I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. It's like, I didn't ask you what you don't have. It's like, where you want to be? What is your dream?
Right.
And what I notice if I mentor young men too, they don't have the same kind of pause when they're looking at a job description. When they're looking at a job description that they want to apply for, they're like, yep, I have first, whatever, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 of them. I'm good, let's go. Where women look at the job description, they're like, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. Oh, number 10, I don't have that. Okay, I can't apply for this because I don't have this. And it's incredible to me, right? Like, it's like, if they applied anyway, and the person, the hiring manager, would look at the job, their resume or met them and said, oh my God, yes, I was only counting for 60% of this qualification because this one is more important to me than the other one. And a lot of things can be learned, right? Like there's certain things that can be taught and certain things cannot be taught.
100%. And part of that, I think you can't teach someone is drive. So if you don't have drive, you're never going to be able to figure that one out because you just can't. And having critical thinking skills also is a really tough one to actually, because that's really ingrained in you. If you don't learn that pretty early on, try to start problem solving things, it's really hard to figure that out later because you just don't have the tools.
Exactly.
So, almost every woman that I've ever interviewed has said that they feel like sometimes they have the imposter syndrome, or maybe they don't deserve a seat at the table, or things like that, that the things that have held them back is not necessarily other people within an organization, but oftentimes themselves. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree. I think if you want something really bad, you got to figure out how to get there, not why you can't get there.
That's good. So talking about, you walk into a room of young women, what are some lessons that you've learned personally that you would like to share with them?
I think first one is take risks. As women, we're very risk averse. We just tend to be, right? Like we're measure 7 times, cut once kind of approach, where I think men are more tolerant for risk. And I think that's what often holds us back. So I would tell young women, take risks and do it early in your career, right? Like while you're unencumbered by anything, just try different things, shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I think I would do. I would be like, okay, I got this degree, but do I want to now take this job? And now that I got into this job, do I stay here, or do I listen to my passion, or do I shoot for the stars and try something else? Like, I think women can be starting businesses way younger than typically they are, right? Like if you see female entrepreneurs, you see more of them in their 40s and 50s versus younger women. But when you see men entrepreneurs, they're in their early 20s.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And nobody's questioning their lack of experience, but women are afraid to take certain steps because they're like, well, I don't have experience.
I don't know about you, but I still tend to be this way. I literally have 10 different plans if something doesn't go right. I've got my A, B, C, D. I've all these backup plans. And if I don't have enough backup plan, if something goes wrong, I don't feel like I'm prepared for it. So I have to overthink things, I think many times. I do think that it is a skill. And I think as you're younger, it's more difficult for you to actually do that. Don't you think?
It but then it's less on the line, I feel like.
True. No, for sure.
Right?
I can tell you I didn't know that when I was younger. I didn't really think it through like that.
Yeah.
So just kind of thinking about balancing, life and responsibilities, and then also, career. How do you think you've done with that? And sometimes oftentimes I felt I'm really doing very well. And then other times I thought, oh gosh, I'm really doing bad. I'm not crushing it this week. But don't you think it's kind of a cycle?
It is. Oh, 100%. And I think if I think back to my early career, I worked probably easily 16, 18-hour days.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Right.
And then when I just started having my kids, I was also in the middle of taking company public as a head of finance. And that was a lot. And that was another 18-hour, 20-hour days. And I think I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for my husband and the support that he provided me at that time too, and continues to. And so it's like understanding when to over-architect for what side. But in my head, I was making kind of conscious decision that I have to pay it forward right now. And maybe I had guilt. I had so much guilt for not being around my babies when they were 1 years old, 2 years old, 3 years old, right? I was always traveling, always at work. But then I was like, I will be there for every soccer game or basketball game or whatever the game of choice and sport of choice they decide to have. And that's what I do now. So I'm very focused on being there for them, and making sure I find time and making sure that I show up in both ways. I mean, does it impact the work side? I'm like, I don't think so. I think if you can put in 100% in both sides, right?
Well, and it's prioritizing too.
Yeah.
Some things, you just go, okay, well, maybe the laundry is not going to be all put away today, but I'll get to that tomorrow because it is more important for me to be at that game or whatever.
100%.
And those games aren't every single day, but when you're older and you look back, it's sure good to have those moments that you're able to be present at.
For sure.
So some advice that you would give other women, what would that be, do you think?
Surround yourself with your support group, mentors, your cheerleaders, right? That will support you and speak up for you when you're not in the room. I think that's so important, and it had such a huge impact for me. And I think if I'm thinking about lesson learned, I didn't invest in that early enough. I should have continued to build that network and that group of my support and cheerleaders and mentors early, but it's never too late.
And no mean girls.
True.
No
True
mean
that.
girls.
Yeah,
no.
Stay away. I always stayed away from drama.
Yeah.
Always stayed away. And I think, funny enough, like I said, up until probably very recently, and it still is, I find that majority of the support and needle moving I get from male mentors.
Nice. Okay, what's next for you?
Oh, what's next? I mean, we keep making difference, I think, in the space. Obviously, I want to continue to be, and I think I'm doing a pretty decent job as a good mom for my kids. That's probably my biggest pride and accomplishment for sure, being a mom. But also working really hard and bringing that predictable EV charging to our communities and making a difference.
Is it an app?
It's an app for drivers.
Yep.
Yes, okay. And it's available on Google Play and App Store. So download it. And we made this so kind of gamification in the app where our early adopters could download the app and nominate their apartment building or workplace for us to bring predictable EV charging to their apartment building or workplace or hotel or their favorite spot. Nice. And we would definitely reward them with all sorts of perks.
Nice. And that's actually discounts you mentioned earlier at the vendors and all of that. That's very nice. Very nice. And so it's like a point system or something like that?
Yes, it's a point system. We're calling it right now EVLUV Founder Club. So it's a while, help us grow, help us bring our solution to the, place near you, your favorite spot. And, we'll definitely help throughout the journey of EV ownership.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for a wonderful conversation, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.